Morning traders, welcome back to the channel. Today is Wednesday 11 September 11, and it's a daily report, daily journaling of what has unfolded in the morning session, and my execution and me trying to stick to my trade discipline and trading plan as much as possible in order to be successful and in order to be able to get those consistent payouts. So today is the first day trading on the TopStep funded account. I just activated it last night. I haven't traded all week until today, which is I didn't trade Monday, Tuesday, which is part of the plan, and then Wednesday today we trade. I'm gonna run you guys quickly through the morning session, what has unfolded. There were a couple of emotional decisions that I've made early on that cost me some wins, and then would have almost put me in a bad position. And those positions usually leads to till, and I'm so glad that I avoided it. So as you can see, I record my trading. So 2 hours of trading session we just finished right now. We're into the 10 a.m. 10:30, and I'm looking at this 5-minute fair value gap the price drop into. I'm seeing the relative equal high in here, and there is another there's a daily previous day's high right above, and I see that we open. He has already taken sell side and he shifted. He has a five minute and it's shifting higher here, and I'm looking at this. I want to use this as an order block. As it trade above this candle, I entered on a buy on a entry. It was supposed to be 10. I put a 5 miscalculation, but risk as usual, and I was aiming for a 1-to-2 risk ratio, which I would have exited at 8.55. But because I was a little bit greedy and I wanted to hold until the PM session, I did not stick to the rule of 1-to-2 risk reward. As you can see, I added my position because, like I said, it was supposed to be a 10. I'm looking at this fair value gap here, that 1 minute fair value gap. It dropped back into the fair value gap and it moved quite nicely, right? At this point, I trailed my stop and should have just left it at it, right? As it comes back here, so I had it the risk, and then I trailed the stop a little bit too early, so it returned back at my entry right before CPI. I completely forgot that we had CPI today, so I wasn't computing what was happening until I started seeing the crazy move. So right here, it just take me out, touch the fair value gap. At this moment, I started to FOMO, which is like, oh shoot, I really missed the trade. It scared me out. I just closed out my trade and it's looking like it's going in my direction. Why did I do that? And then you see me doing a couple of execution here that I shouldn't have done, and it would have turned really, really bad. Fortunately, I closed the trade before CPI started doing its thing. So the trade that I wanted, which was an entry from that fair value gap or order block, it delivered to 1-to-2 into that buy side. It did deliver, but I was too greedy wanting to wait for that, and then CPI just destroyed everything. And I just realized the moment it dropped, I'm like, shoot, I forgot there was CPI today. So early in the session, the recap would just be that I FOMO'd, right? I also afraid because I was afraid of losing, so I trailed my stop too early. That's number one. So I didn't really manage my risk well there. Or we could say that didn't give the space, the time to the trade to do its thing. And then I FOMO'd the moment that it stopped me out to re-enter again, over trade out of FOMO, and didn't really just hold myself together. I mean, for sure, it's my first day back since Friday, so I'm a little bit rusty. We could say that, but that doesn't excuse that I let greed sway my decision. I let that kind of lead into FOMO, and then it led into me chasing when I wasn't supposed to. That trade would have gotten me out by the tick before CPI, and then I didn't have to deal with all of the price fluctuation. Fortunately enough, I closed quickly after the big drop in CPI, and then it returned back into that new day opening gap. And that was the gist of the AM session, right? Just realizing that, oh man, I effed up. I wasn't really disciplined enough, right? So I was like, okay, cool. It wasn't that much of a big of a loss, so it's still in the range of the daily loss limit or the session limit. So I was fine with it. So I just tried to catch myself, because all of this emotion, you go from good expectation for your trade to fear of losing or fear of missing the trade, and then you effed up on it, and then you're like, okay, shoot, I have to bring myself back down to equilibrium. Early in the 9 a.m. session, I'm looking at this inversion fair value gap that price traded back to, retrace back into the inversion fair value gap, trade back, and then expand. And I'm still looking at that previous day high, which the fact that you run away from it through CPI manipulation and then comes all the way back here, not respecting this fair value gap here, and then just, you know, shifting in structure and leaving a lot of buy side. I wanted those buy side, so I got back in and then take another trade, which put me at break even at the end of the session. I'm monitoring it, like I'm monitoring how it plays out around this volume imbalance. This was last Friday's week consequent encroachment that he has been respecting pretty much throughout this week. Monday, early Tuesday, London session, early CPI, we see another respect of that here. And while I was in this trade and I'm waiting for delivery into those buy side, I did not want it to kind of like meander around here. I just wanted some displacement from this. So you will see here how I pointed out to this that I wanted to see displaced higher, and as I was contemplating if I should throw my stop or not. So I looked at this and I started trailing my stop right below this candle, because I didn't see the need for it to come back into the fair value gap and just expand higher, which it did, and then help me cover the loss in the AM session. So it turns out the AM just turned out to be a break-even day. I mean, a break-even session, which was fine because I was able to manage and, you know, kind of like catch myself back up. As we can see, is the displacement that I wanted right above the buy side, and we got done with the AM session. Then as 9 comes around, as you can see, I really did not participate to it at all. But around the macro, I'm looking at here. We see we're looking at this previous day high that was taken, right? It quickly moved away from it, even though it was closed, didn't take it during CPI, manipulated, dropped it, did not take the PM session low, went back up, take the PM session high. We had this fair value gap that it retraced to, right? It referred back to it, dropped lower, and then it referred back to this one again, consequent encroachment, and then it was weakening. It has some aggressive displacement, but it does not close down there. And I was looking at this fair value gap here to see how they may want to revert back to that level. And on 1 minute, I'm looking at this high 2022 ICT model, which is higher high, shifting structure, return back into this fair value gap. I'm looking at weak consequent encroachment down here. We do have some objective down here, and I'm looking at previous day low. And as you can see on my TopStep account, I had an entry around here, early entry, exited here, and I was looking to see how it was gonna act around this. And then I noticed the inversion fair value gap, as I pointed it out earlier. I kind of like wanted that retracement higher into this, but then I realized that this is much balanced. We see a trade up here, that's a high, a CPI. It referred back to this level, consequent encroachment. It really respected those consequent encroachment, did not close above it. That's 3 candles. There wouldn't be any need for price to go up here before it comes down. But there's another one here. So I'm noticing and I'm looking at it, I'm seeing the respect right down here, and the fact that it's pushing through this fair value gap. So once again, I'm looking at it, looking at 1 minute, and I entered the first time. It quickly moved lower, but once you reach the week, discount week, once I got encroachment, it quickly went back up, take me out at break even. I wasn't mad at it. I'm just like, we would just enter 10, so let's wait and see. And funny enough, I was still wanting to see like some kind of like higher retracement, but I'm seeing how it's rejecting this fair value gap. Then it tried to go up once again, but failed right here. As you can see, that engineering, and went back up into the fair value gap once again. So I decided to short it from here, cover right about this high, and we do have new day opening gap. So my aim was a new day opening gap here. Reason is right below the previous day low, and I hold that one. So as you can see here, we had the first 10 a.m. fair value gap. It's very minor, but nonetheless was a silver bullet fair value gap. So once it traded into it, I trailed, as I didn't see any need of price going all the way back up here or above, and just waited to see the reaction at the consequent encroachment of this discount week, and want to see some displacement below the previous day low into this new day opening gap, and then below this daily volume imbalance low, which was my ultimate target. So I had the strategy to like exit the trade by taking partial and securing something, and I closed for the day. There's no need for me to go back in at this point, and just a nice delivery, which is, like I said, positive reinforcement of doing the right thing. If you do the right thing, focus on, on the right trade and the right type of management, it will pay off, instead of chasing trade and letting emotion and looking at P&L all the time and letting it dictate the emotion of my execution. Might as well just focus on the structure and better risk management, so that when things are not working, you are not in that much of drawdown. So here at the end of that last 1 minute, we see a quick displacement lower into that new day opening gap and lower. As you can see here, it quickly displaced lower here. Yeah, there we had the quick displacement, right, exited here, the partial secure. I was going to wait to see if it can get down to that new week opening gap down here, but I kind of like didn't want to see it go all the way back, and it was already enough. So sure, I leave some profit on the table, but might as well save the psychology, come back the next day, and then be on the positive end at the end of the day. So I did not hold, I exited here, but it ultimately ended up dropping into the level that I wanted, which was this low. As I said, that was the aim target. It nicely delivered there. So basically returned back into that daily volume balance, and then drop back into another daily volume balance, potentially going into the new week opening gap. So that was the session and first day on the TopStep account. Close around like a 1%, which wasn't bad. Execution, as you can see here, on a day is 38 out of 16 trade, which is a little bit of over trading, a little bit of entry back and forth, which still need to improve. It's the 1 to 2 risk reward, which is good. And yeah, first day. So this is a recap for today. I'll see you guys tomorrow, and until next time, my friend, peace and safe trading.